All right, let's get started. Welcome to GDI Consulting's BidCast series. Today we're talking about CWMS 3, and yes, it's every bit as exciting as it sounds. We're about to unpack one of DHS's biggest upcoming opportunities, the Cellular Wireless Managed Services 3, or as we'll call it from here on out, CWMS 3. In about 20 minutes or so, we'll talk through what this program is all about, why it matters, what DHS is really looking for, and how you can put your organization in the best position to compete confidently. I'll also share a few behind-the-scenes insights from our proposal team here at GDI, the folks who live and breathe these massive federal procurements every day, so you can get a clearer sense of what's between the lines in this solicitation. Now, since this is a BidCast, not a live session, you can sit back and relax. But if questions come up, we'd love to hear from you. Just reach out to our team after watching, and we'll be happy to walk through your specific scenario. All right, ready? Let's kick things off by framing what CWMS 3 actually is. This BidCast combines expert insight with smart technology, bringing you clear, practical guidance from the GDI consulting team. Here's what's ahead today. First, we'll talk about what CWMS 3 actually is, a quick overview of the program and why DHS launched it. Next, we'll move into understanding the requirements, what DHS expects contractors to deliver, and how those expectations shape your proposal strategy. Then we'll look at evaluation factors, how the government decides who wins. Finally, we'll wrap up with strategic insights and how GDI Consulting can support your team. This session is fast-paced but practical. As you listen, take note of anything that sparks an action, like checking your facility clearance or reaching out to carriers for commitment letters. Ready? Let's dive in and explore CWMS 3. So let's see what is CWMS 3. CWMS 3 is the next generation of DHS's department-wide cellular and mobility program. It's a single award IDIQ, meaning just one company will win this contract. After that, all DHS components will place their task orders under that single vehicle. The contract runs for 10 years, 1 base year and 9 option years, with a total ceiling of about $3.06 billion. It's managed by the DHS Office of the Chief Information Officer and replaces the current CWMS 2 contract. Here's the big takeaway. This is one of the largest telecom managed service opportunities in the federal market for small businesses. If your company works in mobility, asset management, or telecom expense management, this is your Super Bowl. Now you might be wondering, why a single award instead of multiple? It's a great question. DHS wants standardization and control. One playbook, one data portal, one governance model. Under CWMS 2, multiple awards created fragmentation. This time, DHS is centralizing everything to streamline operations and improve visibility across the enterprise. 13 DHS components, everything from FEMA to TSA to ICE, are unified under this program. That's over 80,000 lines of service spread across thousands of field offices and mission teams. 13 DHS components, from FEMA and TSA to ICE, are all unified under this program. That's more than 80,000 lines of service, spread across thousands of field offices and mission teams. So when we talk about mission-critical communications, we're talking about keeping agents connected in disaster zones, making sure TSA officers' handhelds work in secure airport areas, and enabling DHS leadership to collaborate securely anywhere in the world. CWMS 3 matters because it modernizes all of that. It's about efficiency, visibility, and security, all while cutting costs through smarter sourcing. Now, another good question that comes up: does this cover international roaming or only CONUS? The answer: primarily U.S. and its territories. But the contract does allow international support when DHS has overseas operations that require it. So when we talk about mission-critical communications, we mean keeping agents connected in disaster zones, ensuring TSA officers' handhelds function in secure areas, and enabling DHS leadership to collaborate securely worldwide. CWMS 3.0 matters because it modernizes all of that. It's about efficiency, visibility, and security, while cutting costs through smarter sourcing. Let's take a look at what DHS wants to achieve with CWMS 3. First, reduce wireless costs through volume buying and smarter rate plans. Second, enable faster device provisioning and refresh. They want predictable lifecycle management, not one-off purchases. Third, improve inventory visibility. A single source of truth for every device and SIM across all DHS components. Fourth, enhance the FedRAMP secured management portal. That means leadership can track usage and spending in real time. And fifth, standardize billing and reporting. No more 10 different invoice formats from 10 different vendors. Notice something here? None of these goals are purely technical. They're all about control, accountability, and efficiency across the enterprise. Now here's a question we often hear. Will the vendor provide the devices or just manage the plans? Good one. The answer is both. The contractor will handle procurement, activation, management, and disposal. Full lifecycle support. Let's take a quick look at the contracting snapshot for CWMS 3. RFP number 70 RTAC 25R00000010. Set aside small business. NAICS code 517121. Telecommunications resellers. Contract type single award IDIQ. Performance period 2025 through 2035. And the ceiling value, a whopping $3 billion. Because this is a small business set-aside, it's important to verify your size status under this NAICS code before you bid. And remember, a single award IDIQ means DHS will rely on one contractor to deliver and scale services nationwide. That makes partnering and teaming absolutely essential. Now, a great question that often comes up, can a joint venture bid? Yes, absolutely. A JV can compete, as long as every partner meets the top secret facility clearance requirement, and the joint venture is properly registered in SAM. Next, we'll take a look at the requirements. Now let's talk about what's actually in scope for CWMS 3. There are 6 core services that sit at the heart of this requirement. First, program management. That's your day-to-day oversight and reporting. Second, performance management. Keeping an eye on KPIs and SLAs to make sure everything runs as expected. Third, telecom expense management, or TEMS. Tracking costs and optimizing usage across all components. Fourth, the management portal. It must be FedRAMP authorized and accessible around the clock. Fifth, service desk support. Tier 1 and Tier 2 help desk coverage. And finally, transition services, both in and out. Here's the key point. If you can't deliver excellence across all 6, DHS will notice. Think integration. Your management portal is the nerve center that drives every one of these functions. Now, a question we hear a lot. What if our portal isn't FedRAMP authorized yet? Good question. You'll need at least a FedRAMP in process status and a clear path to full authorization. DHS won't wait for promises. They'll want proof of progress. Now let's talk about the optional services, the ones that may not be required on day 1, but will definitely influence the evaluation. These include device and accessory procurement, mobile device management services, labor support, meaning on-site technicians, surge staff, and executive support, and in-building cellular enhancement services. Even though DHS labels these as optional, in reality, the components will expect to see these capabilities available at the task order level. So here's your strategy. Show that you already do all of this today, even if DHS doesn't order it right away. That way, you're demonstrating readiness, scalability, and full service capability from the start. DHS is a very documentation-driven organization. They expect detailed, well-structured plans, including your project management plan, performance management approach plan, transition management plan, disaster recovery and restoration plan, training plan, and business continuity plan. You'll also be required to submit a steady cadence of reports, weekly project status reports, monthly cost management and service reports, plus audits, invoices, and optimization summaries. Another big one: portal demonstrations within 30 days after award. By day 30, you'll need to show a live instance or a sandbox environment with DHS data flows in action. Here's a pro tip we often give our clients: treat your demo portal as a deliverable itself. Make it polished, functional, and ready to impress. Now, a common question we get is, do they expect live data or mock data? Typically, the government expects sanitized DHS data for the demonstration. The real data integrations come later, during the transition-in phase. Security is one of the biggest areas where even strong bidders can stumble. You must already hold a top-secret facility clearance, verified through DCSA's NISS system. And just to be clear, an interim clearance doesn't count. Your management portal must also be FedRAMP authorized, or at least FedRAMP in process at the time of proposal. Everything has to comply with FIPS 142 encryption standards, DHS 4300A policy, and NIST Special Publication 853 controls. Section 508. Accessibility and PIV credentialing are also required and will be enforced. DHS will absolutely verify that your team and systems meet these standards, so make sure your documentation clearly shows how your controls align with federal requirements. Now here's a common question. What if only our subcontractor has the top secret clearance? Unfortunately, that won't work. The prime contractor must hold the clearance directly. Your subs can support, but they can't substitute for the prime's authorization. Let's talk about the CWMS 3 timeline. The final RFP is expected in the first quarter of fiscal year 2026. The award target is set for the second quarter of that same year. Once awarded, the transition-in period will be 90 days. The base year will run from late 2025 through late 2026, with task orders lasting up to 12 months each, continuing all the way through 2035. Now, what if the final RFP slips? That's always possible. DHS often adjusts timelines, but starting your preparation early will keep you ahead of the curve. Another common question: will the service level agreements be negotiable? Not at first. You can propose your own internal performance metrics, but DHS's baseline SLAs are firm. Coming up, we will dive into the evaluation factors to see how you should align your proposals with the requirements. Alright, now let's get into the fun part. How exactly will DHS pick the winner? Let's talk about the evaluation process. This one's a two-phase approach. Phase 1 is pretty straightforward. It's pass or fail. You either meet the gate criteria or you're out. No middle ground. Phase 2 is where things get interesting. It's a trade-off. That's where DHS balances technical merit, value, and risk to decide who offers the best overall solution. Here's how it breaks down. Phase 1 focuses on two must-haves: your top-secret facility clearance and your carrier commitment letters. Phase 2 digs into the details: your management approach, your web portal demonstration, past performance, and of course, price. Now here's the key takeaway. Non-price factors are more important than price. That means technical excellence and proof of capability will outweigh being the cheapest bidder. Price still matters, but mainly for realism and fairness. DHS will absolutely pay a premium for low-risk, fully compliant, high-performance delivery. So don't race to the bottom, race to be the most credible. Alright, let's talk about Phase 1, the simplest phase on paper, but the one where at least half of the potential bidders are likely to get eliminated. To pass, you need just two things, and both must be flawless. First, an active top-secret facility clearance, verified through DCSA's NISS system. And second, commitment letters from all four carriers: Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and FirstNet. Each one has to be signed, dated, and name your company specifically. No screenshots. No unsigned drafts. No, we're working on it. DHS is strict here. Either you've got it or you don't. If you miss on either of those, you're done. So think of Phase 1 as your ticket to the real competition. Phase 2. Now, here's a question we hear all the time. What if one carrier refuses to sign? Then you'll need to escalate early. DHS expects all 4 letters, period. Start working those relationships now. This is not a last-minute item. And another one. Can we use a reseller agreement instead? Nope. DHS wants a direct formal commitment letter from the carrier itself. No middlemen, no exceptions. All right, moving into Phase 2. This is where things get exciting. Here's where DHS really starts looking under the hood to see who can deliver. You'll be evaluated across 4 major factors. Factor 3, management approach. That's your oral presentation and slide deck where you show how you'll actually run the program. Factor 4, web portal capability. A live interactive demo that proves your system works the way you say it does. Factor 5, past performance. DHS wants to see at least 3 projects valued at $25 million or more. And Factor 6, price, submitted using the official pricing template. Now, DHS will use a trade-off evaluation method, meaning an outstanding technical solution can absolutely win, even at a slightly higher price. This is where your storytelling and your proof points matter most. Show them what makes your approach low risk and high value. Here's a question we often get. What if our past performance is under $25 million but highly relevant? Include it as context to strengthen your narrative. But remember, you'll need at least one qualifying example at that threshold to stay competitive. All right, this is the part where DHS gets to see you in action. The oral presentation. It's held virtually over Microsoft Teams. No stage lights, no podium, but still plenty of pressure. You'll get 90 minutes to present your approach and 30 minutes for Q&A. Only 5 people can be on camera presenting, and no more than 2 of them can be from subcontractors. Your key personnel have to participate. And here's the fun part. No professional presenters allowed. That's right. DHS wants to hear directly from the people who will actually manage and deliver the work, not a polished pitch team. So, practice as a team, know your material inside and out, and let your real experts shine. This is your chance to prove you're not just compliant, you're confident. So, how does DHS define best value? Spoiler alert, it's not just about price. Best value is the balance of technical merit, proven experience, and risk mitigation that gives the government real confidence in your ability to deliver. If 2 proposals are technically equal, sure, price becomes the tiebreaker. But if one bidder brings a stronger management approach, better FedRAMP readiness, or a more polished and capable portal, DHS will absolutely justify paying more for that. So here's your strategy. Don't just check boxes for compliance. Show capability, show maturity, and show that you're the low-risk, high-performance choice DHS can count on. Now I want to explain how GDI Consulting can support you in winning this opportunity. All right, let's shift gears and talk about lessons learned, or, as we like to call it, where good bidders go to die. First, late or incomplete Phase 1 submissions. It happens every single time. Don't be that team scrambling for signatures at the deadline. Second, weak portal demos. Claiming FedRAMP readiness is one thing. Showing a clunky interface is another. If it doesn't look polished, DHS will notice. Third, past performance under $25 million, or projects that have nothing to do with wireless management. Stay relevant or it won't resonate. Fourth, generic management slides. DHS wants to see that you understand their mission, not just any agencies. And finally, poor oral presentation flow. Too many teams rehearse it like a speech instead of a conversation. Remember, DHS wants to see how your real people think, not how well they memorize. To really shine in this competition, you'll need to do 4 things, and do them well. First, align your project management plan and your performance management approach directly with DHS's objectives. Make it obvious that your goals match their goals. Second, show quantifiable savings. Use analytics and optimization to prove that your approach cuts costs and boosts efficiency. Numbers talk. Use them. Third, prove your system integration chops. Show how your solution connects with HR, finance, and asset management systems through APIs and automation. And fourth, highlight your experience supporting other large-scale telecom clients. DHS wants to see that you've been here before and succeeded. These are the differentiators that take a proposal from simply compliant to genuinely compelling. Before we jump into how GDIC can help you win, let's take a quick moment to talk about who we are. GDI Consulting has been in the federal game for over 2 decades, helping contractors capture, manage, and win some of the government's biggest programs. We've supported opportunities ranging from $50 million to multi-billion-dollar IDIQs across DHS, DoD, and GSA. In short, we know how DHS thinks. And more importantly, we know how evaluators score. That's the edge we bring, turning complex RFPs into clear, compliant, and competitive proposals. Here's how we support our clients every step of the way. Capture support. We handle competitor intel, win themes, and positioning. Proposal development. We manage your volumes, graphics, and full compliance. Gate reviews. Structured checkpoints to keep everything on track. Oral coaching. Mock sessions to help your team shine. And pricing narrative. We don't price for you, but we make sure your story aligns with cost realism. In short, we act as an extension of your business development team, guiding you from RFP release all the way to submission day. We've built 3 tailored engagement options specifically for CWMS 3. First, the CWMS Readiness Package, a quick 2-week sprint to assess your compliance gaps and teaming strategy. Second, the Oral and Portal Prep Package. We simulate DHS's evaluation environment and coach your presenters until they're camera ready. And third, end-to-end proposal management. From strategy to submission, everything handled under one roof. Each option is flexible. You can bring us in for just one stage or for the full journey. But here's the truth. The earlier we're involved, the more strategic advantage we can build in. All right, that brings us to the end of today's BidCast. Thank you all for tuning in and spending your time with us. Stay proactive, stay compliant, and let's get you CWMS 3 ready. Remember, preparation beats panic every time. And who knows, maybe the next time we talk, you'll be gearing up for your own DHS win story. Thanks again for joining us, and I hope to see you back for our next BidCast as we unpack another big federal opportunity.